talking about that. You guys are like my third couple, I think. So the bio Keisha wrote was, my past was shaped by the struggle of addiction, where drugs took pieces of my time, my peace, and parts of myself I'm now working hard to reclaim. But today, with almost 6 months clean behind me, my story is no longer just about where I was, it's about where I'm going. Each day clean is proof of my strength and my commitment to breaking old cycles and building a healthier life for me, my fiance, and my kids. The memories of my past don't define me anymore. They remind me of how far I've actually come. 6 months clean is not just time, it's victory, growth, and the beginning of a future I can be proud of. I'm a 35-year-old mom of three, rebuilding my life with strength and purpose as I walk the path of recovery. Every day I show up with courage, not just for myself, but for my children and my fiance who look to me with love and hope. My journey hasn't been easy, but I'm learning to trust my own resilience, to heal old wounds, and to grow into the person I was always meant to be. Recovery has become more than just staying clean. It's becoming a better version of myself, a present and loving wife, mother, and a woman who refuses to give up on her future. Loving my husband in recovery means learning how to love without losing myself. It means showing up with honesty instead of fear, patience instead of control, and communication instead of silence. I'm learning that in recovery, it's not about fixing him or being fixed by him. It's about growing together side by side. It means choosing respect even when emotions run high, setting healthy boundaries and honoring them, listening to understand, not to defend, offering grace without abandoning accountability, letting love be steady, not chaotic. In recovery, love looks slower, safer, and more intentional. It's built on trust, rebuilt day by day. Forgiveness that doesn't erase responsibility, and commitment that includes self care. Loving my husband in recovery means I don't sacrifice my healing for the relationship, I bring my healing into it. This kind of love is real, it's mature, and it's worth protecting. What a change. So I love that. Like I said, she wrote that yesterday for the Sober Saturday, or not, yeah, she actually wrote it. I was going to do it last week, but she wrote that for the Sober Saturday post. But I thought it just kind of fit in here. So Ronnie is her fiance, like I just talked about, and he is along with her on this podcast journey today. 1 second. Okay. So hold on, let me find my pen because I like to take notes. And the way that I usually do this, guys, is that you start kind of wherever it started for you. And then I guess because you were doing the couple thing, like I want one of you to start and kind of tell wherever it starts for you, childhood, your addiction, wherever. And then whenever you guys get to where you guys get together, then stop and let the other person kind of tell their beginning of their life up until you guys meet, and then we'll go from there and kind of tell them the story of you guys together.
Great. You can go first.
All right. Well, she wants me to go first because she's shy, so I'll run point on it. I guess my whole journey probably started very very young. I started smoking marijuana whenever I was, I would say 12 or 13 years old. And, but, well, no, probably 11, 12 years old. And,
I was 9 when I started smoking weed. Like,
really?
My older brother and sister, they thought it was cool to,
yeah.
Right, to get you started. That's kind of how it was for me. I had an older sister, a stepsister, and she had gotten it from her dad's drawer, and unbeknownst to him. And then I think it was one of those things where if she was going to get caught, she wanted to have me as well. You know what I mean? Like just a backup for her. But because she was older and her friends had started dipping into prescription medication like Xanax, methadone, stuff like that, I started then because it was one of those things where like I'd be over at her apartment and we would be smoking, and then I'd watch them pop a pill. I'd start, and I don't think it was ever really recreate. It was kind of more recreation in the way of like it would happen on the weekends or it would happen every couple weeks. It wasn't something that ever really became a problem until I think my friends and me reached the age that she was at. So once I hit like 15, 16, because I had already been doing stuff with her, it was kind of one of those things where everybody looked down on me until they joined me. And then once they joined me, now I'm the more experienced one. So it was like I don't know. That happened to me my whole life, whether it was smoking weed, then taking pills, then, further on into the oxys and the heroin. But it was always one of those things where because I was first, I was the bad guy. Then it turned into, oh, well, he knows about this, so let's go to him. And I think I was on and off, honestly, until I started to have my first run-ins with surgery and really getting my own prescriptions. I had a couple of things happen to me where I was on and off with pills, going all into my 16, 17-year-old, um, and taking meds like that on and off. And then whenever I started to have my first round of surgeries, it came where I would run out and then I would call to get more. And this was before the doctors had kicked in and everybody, this was before Florida, but in here in Kentucky or in the Midwest, I don't know if anybody knows, but we had basically an epidemic where, people were going to Florida, bringing them back into our states like Ohio, Indiana, Tennessee, Kentucky. And then when they started to peddle those, I think everybody got into it. But before that, before all the Caspers hit, I mean, I could call my doctor right after I had gotten a script. Like I could fill my prescription, and then the next day I could call and I could say these make me sick, and he would, or these aren't strong enough, and they would say flush them, and I'll call you another one in. And so it became one of those things where it was so easy for me to get them that I would just get them over and over and over. And the thing is I wasn't at that time, I wasn't really, I liked the buzz, but I had underlying issues that were there and they weren't looking into them. It was easier for them. Like what I mean by underlying issues is like one time I'd had a stomach, operation and they left infection in there. So the infection grew and I was having pain from that infection. But instead of going in and looking to see if there was a further problem, they just refilled my prescriptions over and over and over. So by the time
For
I
that.
had, what is it?
So the doctors used to be bad for that, just feeding us pills instead of
Yeah.
Yeah.
instead of like you said,
And don't
finding out what's wrong. They're just like, oh, here, especially if they already got it in their mind that that's what you wanted back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When they handed them, they're like, oh, this is what they want. Let's just get them out of here instead of actually trying to find out what was wrong.
doing something about it. So when they started to treat me like that, I actually had to quite a few times nip it in the bud and say like, look, I'm going to come into your office. We are going to find out what's going on because I don't want any more pills. Like I still wanted the medication, but it got to the point where the pain was so bad, the high didn't matter at that point. I was in so much pain, I knew something was wrong. So, you go in, they find out the problem. Well, guess what? Here comes another surgery. Here comes another, problem. So for me, all the way leading up to that point, like, I think I'm gonna take it like this. Our addictions kind of took off together because when I got to the point where the the pills were not enough for me, I had my lung collapse shortly after my stomach had happened, and up until that point, me and her had both in our earlier, younger lives, our teenage years, because we've known each other since we were 11. But there were certain points of our life where she went her way, I went mine.
Yeah.
During those times was when I was on my pain pills, slash drinking. She was drinking, doing slash. I'll let her tell her part in a minute, but um, I had reached, and then when we got back together at 17, 18, we were doing it recreational where I was getting a bunch of meds. She was right there with me. But then when my lungs started to collapse, I had a spontaneous pneumothorax, which is a fancy way of saying they did not know why, but my lungs kept getting air bubbles that would go to the top. And when the air bubbles reach the top, the way I understand it, boom, it collapses. So the only way they can fix that is to go in, refill your lung. They put a tube in. You either stay in the hospital with it or you go home with it. It fills back up. It's supposed to fix itself. Well, it kept happening to me over and over the course of 6 months.
I remember that.
This was during a time where me and her were on and off. Like we had our child by now, but we just weren't dedicated to each other. So during this time, she's doing her pain meds. I'm doing my pain meds. When it finally came to a head of my lung got fixed.
Is your child together Keisha's oldest?
Yes.
Okay.
Ariana.
All right.
I only have one biological daughter. That's Ariana. And then we have 2 stepsons together, but that's from a different relationship of hers.
So you guys were together, had a child, and then split up and she got into another marriage? Okay.
Yes. Yes. And that's when I was saying that we were doing pills on and off, because she would come to me. I would give her some meds. I would take meds. It was just one of those things where, like I said, she hadn't really ever developed a real like addiction to where she was physically 100% addicted up until this point. I was addicted to the pain meds. She didn't understand that. She thought like he's just a bad person, really. Like he's just choosing to get high. He's doing all these things. So once I got over all of the lung stuff and they fixed my lungs up, I got over all of my stomach issues. Everything was good. At that point, there was never a doctor that said, hey, because the stomach issues and the lung issues coincided with each other. And then when the lung issue took over, so you're looking at like a 4-year period where I was just on medication after medication after medication. When it ended, none of the doctors sat me down and said like, geez, you've been on meds for quite some time. Maybe we should give this guy Suboxone. Maybe we should give him a methadone treatment. Maybe we should help him with something. They just cut me off cold turkey. So I was, at this point, we were still split up. I was at my house and a couple of my buddies that were staying with me, I thought I had a cold coming off of the meds. And one of my buddies was like, man, you don't have a cold. He was like, you are what they call dope sick. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, and so I'm in denial for a couple days. At this point, he's doing 30s. And he asked me, he was like, man, I can make all of it go away in 2 seconds. And I'm like, okay, let's try it. So he pulls out a syringe. He put the 30 in it and drew it up, and I couldn't watch him do it. I turned my head, and all in that second of him putting it in there, I'm scared up until the point that it hit me. And then when my sickness went away, 100%, it was like, same way if you have a cold, like if people that aren't in addiction, like if you wake up with a cold or a super bad headache and you take that Tylenol and it fixes it, well, guess what? In my opinion, the next time you get a headache, you're going to go take that Tylenol, So that's where I'm going to pause my story, because after realizing that I was addicted in that way, 2 months after that, after I had started injecting Percocet, at this point, me and her had gotten back together, and there was a moment where a friend had suggested heroin to me. And at that time, because of the pills I was on, she had been on them separately away from me. We were both doing so many 30s between the two of us that it was nothing to spend $300 in a night, do them all, wake up the very next day, and then have to go into a plan of what are we going to do. And like, we didn't do what other people did where like no offense to anybody. Yeah, it's expensive. And we never like went and broke into places. We didn't like go out and commit felonies like that. Like ours was like, she worked. Like she's always been the type to where she can, if somebody can hand her a server book and give her a couple tables, this girl will go out and make that money. On the other hand, I was sly with it. I would find somebody who needed it or outright just do somebody wrong. I'm not proud of it, but I'm also not going to shy away from my past. So I'm going to pause that there and let her tell her beginning to where all the way up until, like I said, it gets to that point where we're doing the meds and then somebody suggests the heroin to to me, and then it snowballed from there, but I will let her tell hers.
Well, I don't know where to start. I guess I'll start when I was 13. Basically, I grew up in an abusive home. Not because my parents abused me, but because my dad was abusive to my mother. He was alcoholic. He still is alcoholic. I lost my mom in 2017 to lung cancer, but she loved to smoke her pot and drink Diet Mountain Dew. But that's about all she did. I don't know what she did in her younger days, but that's all I knew her for. Anyways, my dad used to abuse the hell out of her. I watched him pull a gun on her. Like, I just have a lot of trauma built up. That's where my addiction comes in. When I was 13, I smoked my first joint with some friends. I hung out with the older crowd. I was always drinking and going to little middle school parties, high school parties, whatever. And I hung out with the older crowd. So I wanted to be a follower and fit in. Yeah. And I thought just because they're doing it, I can do it too. Well, my first joint was laced with cocaine. Yeah. And I didn't even know it until after they had told me afterwards. So I go home and I'm telling my mom, I'm like, look, I'm hungry and this, that, and the other. And she knew, I just told on myself. But that's where it all started for me. And then, like, between the ages 13 and 16, my sister, we were best friends. And she got in a car wreck. We were just going to parties and drinking. That's basically all we were doing at those ages. But she had gotten pregnant at 14, and I'm 17 months older than her. So she got pregnant at 14, and she had the baby in July, turned 15 in August, and died in September of '06. Yeah. And that's where my addiction really set off because I was started.
She had the baby when? When say
she
it
had
again?
the baby in July of 2020 or 2006.
And then her birthday was, what'd you say? And then she passed away in
August.
September. Okay, go ahead.
Yep.
I take notes as all.
You're good. She was 14 and then she had the baby, turned 15 and passed away. And after that, he's 19 now and he's thriving. But yeah, I had the baby whenever she passed away. But that's where it really started for me because depression came in. I had anxiety from all the trauma. Anyways, I had mental health problems from growing up. Some things happened to me when I was 8 years old. I don't really share that because I'm working on that still. But I'll just say that it has to deal with my step grandfather. And that's as far as I'll go with that. We can talk about that at another time.
Absolutely.
But my depression got so bad that I was missing school and I was just being a delinquent child. I was a bad teenager. I was beating girls up. I beat 2 girls up over Ronnie because they called me and they were like, we're at the fair with your boyfriend. What are you going to do about it? And bitch, I went to the fair.
Yeah, okay, let's see.
I wish you would call me and tell me that, Yeah. So I go to the fair, right? And I'm looking for these girls and I see Ronnie out of the corner of my eye and I'm like, there they are. And then I had a crowd behind me. So I go and I'm walking and they're like, you're not going to do nothing. You're not going to do nothing. Well, I walked up on them and I started beating up the first girl. Well, here comes her friend behind me. She grabs me by my hair and pulls me backwards. So I turn around and I knock her out, like literally knocked her out. I punched her so hard it knocked her out. And then the next thing I know, I'm being handcuffed. The police come up on me, but I beat up 2 girls over this guy. that has nothing to do with my addiction, but that's part of my story. Um, so anyways, that's at 16. I dropped out of school. My mom signed me out of school because I was missing so much. And they told her, you know, if you're going to let her miss the school, you're going to go to jail for truancy. And they told her, she said, no, I'm not. So she signed me out and I had to start working. And she put out of control teen charges on me because I was out past curfew a lot. But while I was on that probation, I had gotten a 4th-degree assault charge for beating up those girls. So I was in and out of juvenile court growing up. Drinking, acting a fool, thought I was cutesy and hanging out with all the older guys. Lost my virginity at what time? What did I lose my virginity? 13. Yeah, I was 13 years old when I lost my virginity to an older guy, and
You're starting to tell some things.
and then I met another guy that we were going to. Well, we didn't. I didn't go to school with him, but I met him through a mutual friend. I was doing Xanaxes, and I was literally walking down the road so high out of my mind that my mom threatened the guy. She was like, if you give my daughter one more thing, I'm literally going to beat your ass myself, literally. And he was like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So when me and Ronnie, we were like he said, we were 11 and 12 when we met. And when we eventually got back together, we were 17 and 18. And I had found out that I had some things going on with my cervix, and I was having some problems, and it was like cancerous. It wasn't cancer, but it almost could have been. And I was already in a depression.
What it was? Do you have HPV cells?
What?
HPV
Yeah.
cells? Yeah, I did too when I was young. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, when you have unprotected sex, that shit just happens. And especially if people don't tell you what's going on with them.
Right.
Anyways, they me and Ronnie started talking. Went to his house and I was telling his mom, and I didn't even know that he was there. And he overheard the conversation, and he comes out and he's like, I bet you didn't know I was here. You didn't plan on telling me this. And we started talking again. Well, at that time, we were using pain pills, Oxycontins, Opanas, all the popular ones, going to Michigan, going to Florida, all of that, like he had said. And we had Ariana after I had surgery on my cervix, and we had Ariana, so I didn't use anything at that time. I think he did. Did you? Were you?
Yeah, we, from one way or another, whether it was like when she had her cervix worked on, they gave her pain pills then.
Yeah.
So she did take a break when she found out she was pregnant with Ariana. Once she had the baby, they gave her pain medicine again. So, and the whole time I had slowed down during the pregnancy. But
I'll be forgetting stuff.
when she was done with once she had the baby, we took off on the pain pills again. Like it was just one thing after another, and like that's when I said, you know, we had split up shortly after Ariana. She was like 2, maybe 3.
It was 3.
Yeah, my addiction had taken over, and I was much further along in it. I had started to shoot up because I was dependent on them, whereas Keisha had done them. She had experienced a little bit of what you would call dope sickness, but because she never did it as a constant, I almost kept that away from her. Whereas, like, say we had a whole bottle of pills, I would tell her, hey, let's take a couple day break. I was not taking a break, but I would make her take the break because I did not want to see her fall with me. And I knew she would follow.
Then we got introduced to heroin.
So
because this was at like what 20 something. I'd already had another baby.
after she ended up getting pregnant with then her husband, They had problems. They were never really meant to be. They didn't click. It was just Keisha being in a state of like depression, wanting us to work out. It didn't happen. We had tried to have another baby. I don't think I was able to have them. It wasn't her. For whatever reason, I've never went and gotten tested for any type of like sperm count. But I think I was meant to have one child. We had Ariana. We were not meant to have another one at that point in time. She was depressed about it. Ended up she was with Benji.
I met Benji, he was in rehab, and it was a mutual friend of mine that I worked with at Golden Corral, and I'll never forget it. She introduced me to him, and I went and visited that guy in rehab. That's the first red flag. Like, what was I thinking? I was 22. I think I was 22. Me and Ronnie had just split up. He kept my apartment. I moved back in with my mom. I had my daughter. And I literally got pregnant the first time me and this man ever like visited each other. Literally, because I just had that surgery and I just had a baby 3 years ago, and I couldn't get pregnant by Ronnie. So, and I didn't even try to get pregnant. I just was unprotected. And I was pregnant, and I had found pills and a syringe in this man's bed with my daughter. So I learned that he was a piece of crap very quickly. But I got kicked out of rehab, and then we split up again.
That was your second husband that you found a syringe in bed with Ariana?
She
or
only has
Benji?
one husband.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
She just has Benji. That's
Yeah.
me and Benji, but we've never been married.
Yeah, I'm still married to him.
Okay.
Legally. I'm jumping around, but
No, you're good. That's why I take notes.
I was pregnant. You're good. I was pregnant when I found out. We get the charger. When I found out about the syringe and the pills, and I literally was going to flush the pills, and he took them from me. And then he went back to rehab, and I got back with Ronnie. Ronnie was literally there when I had Liam. And Liam is my middle son. He's the middle child. That's not stay unless you
Got
pop it. Okay. Sorry, we're trying to plug my phone up.
You're fine.
Here you go.
Okay.
So by the time you had the second baby, you guys were back together?
Yes.
There was basically between the Benji thing, they ended up having two sons together. Me and Keisha we've always been best friends.
I cheated on Benji with Ronnie.
Me and Keisha have always been best friends.
Yeah.
So from the time,
Together at some point.
So from the time that we had Ariana all the way through, we split up. Now this is all during addiction. This is during the pills. This is going back and forth with that.
Yeah, we're using this whole time. Like, I've been introduced to a syringe. I thought it was the best thing ever.
So
it was not.
When we basically were at the house one day, and my buddy knew how much we were spending on meds, and he was like, look, he thought in his head he's helping me because this is what happened with him, and that he's thinking that it's the best thing for us. Basically, to help our pockets, he was going to introduce us to heroin and show us that, hey, you can do this, and spend this much and not have to do as much. Yeah. So roundabout way, when we got on the heroin, it was a back and forth thing where what we should have done was get help. Me and her both should have went to a treatment center like this, got our heads on straight, tried to make the family work. Because I was so heavy into the addiction, and she was brand new into the addiction, and she had me and she had Benji basically bouncing back and forth. It wasn't until she had both babies with him, she realized he was never going to change. He doesn't know how to be. He still to this day doesn't really know how to be a father. He's lived with his mom his whole life.
He was also a heroin addict.
So it was just a full circle of BS. But for me and her, we stayed on that heroin between 22 all the way to 28, 29 years old.
Mhm.
And we wrote it out together. And this is like, you know, we would split up, still be best friends. She would call me and say, listen, I'm sick. I didn't even know what was going on with her. Don't know who she's with, what she's doing. But if she called me in the middle of the day and was like, I'm not doing good, I would tell her where I was. She would come to me. Now, this whole time, we're both raising Ariana. I hate to say this because it sounds horrible, but we weren't the parents that lost our kids and went and got high.
No.
We just took care of the kids and got high afterwards.
Yeah.
Like it was one of those things. And I hate.
I carted my toddler around. We lived in a whole ass trap house in Cincinnati when she was a baby.
Yeah.
Because I, you know,
Yeah.
I didn't lose my kid, and that was much better, you know, in my mind. Like it was much better to
Yep.
have her living in a trap house. At least I didn't lose my kid. It might have been better for her, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
did it.
But we both have, you know, throughout those years of the heroin use, we never knew, neither one of us knew how to beat it. We never knew how to go about getting help. We knew there was things like rehab, but we didn't know even the direction that we wanted to go in.
2017, after I lost my mom, I did go to rehab.
And that was short-lived because she didn't stay.
I stayed 52 days.
Then you got back
treatment,
on it
and
after.
then I got out and got on meth. I did
And
not get on heroin.
oh,
You
I
went
was
to
in the
re-
clinic
When did you say?
in 2017.
2017.
No, I was completely clean then because I didn't get on anything. I got on meth, and then
no, because 2017, that's when I ended up getting turned in. So you were on heroin with me.
yeah, but after I went to rehab, I was off of everything.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I got out and started doing meth, and that's when I met Jimmy. Jimmy is an ex of mine, and I started doing amphetamines after that with him. And that's a whole nother story that
Well,
I
that's
can
a
hear for
part of your,
days.
no, that's a part of you though. Like when okay, so I kind of forgot about that. When she was on the meth, he had the bright idea of, she was on meth and in the methadone clinic, and he had the bright idea to take somebody who had been addicted to opiates, remember, from 22 to 27 in 2017. And he says, I want you to leave the clinic. And then,
I left the clinic and got strung out again.
yeah.
And he literally would put me in a chair. We went to his mom's house because we had nowhere to go. And we went to a buddy of his, and we had to leave. We wanted to get away from anything and everything. I thought I was going to be clean. I thought everything was going to be good. We get to Tennessee. We moved to Tennessee to his dad's house. And literally, his dad's house was probably a mistake because one, I lost custody of my daughter. My ex-husband had full custody of my daughter. And this phone. There we go. And because I missed my court date, and because I followed a guy and drugs. So we're sitting in his room one day, and he's like, sit in that chair and I dare you to move. I was like, what is happening? And I had just taken my hit and I was freaking out. And he's looking for his dope. And literally, the shit hadn't gone anywhere. He blamed me. He was like, I dare you to get up. He's thrown me against walls. He threw me around my apartment before. I literally beat his head in because he called my kids badasses. Like, me and this man, it was very bad. Trauma. Very toxic. He's the reason why I'm intimidated by men. I don't, and in the old, like when I was 8 years old, that's why too. But like when I was on fentanyl or heroin, whatever, I used a trick, and that bothers me too. That has a lot to do with my trauma, my PTSD, and I'm also have a what is it called? BPD, borderline personality disorder. And it's taken a while for me to find that out. I found that out when I went to treatment this past time.
What is it? You want to explain a little bit for people that don't know?
BPD is a borderline personality disorder. Basically, I have mood swings that are up and down. One minute I'm hey, how are you doing? And then the next minute, I'm like, fuck life, depressed, and don't want to do anything, stuck in the bed. Like it's hit me up. I'm up and down all the time. I'm constantly moving. It's like ADHD, but I don't have ADHD. It's from the post traumatic stress disorder and the BPD. The BPD is rough. It takes a lot of therapy to get through. Because you have to calm yourself down, you have to slow down. I'm always wanting to be in control of things. I make impulsive decisions um without thinking. I spit words, I word vomit. I don't think about what I'm saying. So if I get in a fight with somebody, an argument, if I know something about them, I will say something that will hurt them and not give a shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's just a bunch of different personalities, girl. But it's not like bipolar disorder. I was
Right.
misdiagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was 16, and that's definitely not it. I've talked to like 3 or 4 therapists, and they all say BPD, BPD, BPD. So I found that out when I went to rehab this last time, and that was almost 6 months ago.
So in 2017, when all this was happening, I was finishing up. I had gotten in trouble when we were younger. I had a couple possessions, theft by unlawful taking, but I was on the run for so long that I never slowed down to do my time. So when it came to time for me to sit and actually have to sit and do it, I lost all my good time. One way or another, I ended up pulling 34 months. So during her 2017 run with the Jimmy guy, the guy that abused her and stuff, he got her to quit going to the clinic, and that was his biggest mistake because he underestimated. He's thinking that the clinic was crippling her when really the clinic was the only thing that was keeping her halfway
Yeah.
stable. Because as soon as she quits that, now she has to go and replace that, because just because you're on the ice doesn't mean that your opiate disorder goes away.
Right.
And so she had to go back to using. So I get out of jail in 2019, right? Now we've had, a whole 10 years of raising Ariana. I helped raise the boys, all those things. There's so many, because we were on and off so many times, she has bits and pieces of this story. I have bits and pieces of this. But in 2017, after her mom died, her mom, when I had gotten out of jail, this was right before I started to do all my time. And me and her mom have always been on great terms. Her mom's always loved me because I never ran away. I shouldered my responsibility with Ariana. I was always there for my daughter. She knew that that Keisha was going to have a hard time when she passed. And out of everybody in Keisha's family, I mean, aunts, uncles, anybody, she pulls me to the side and she basically made everybody get out of the hospital room, gave me a speech, and was like, I need you to make me one promise. I'm not asking you to make my daughter happy for the rest of your life, but if she needs help, help her. Like if she goes to get out of control, help her. So when I got out in 2019, I get out and I find out she's using. She was working, she had her own place, but she would try to shoot herself, and because she had torn up her veins, she would have blood all over her,
The worst I'd ever been.
all these things. So
Oh, girl, I've been there.
I fall back into using and end up catching endocarditis. Now, me and her haven't been together in years. Um, I'm in the hospital. Endocarditis, for those who don't know, it is basically a bloodborne sickness that you get infection. But the best way I can explain it is your whole body's septic. You are a walking ball of infection, and most people don't make it out. It goes and it lands on their heart valve. And what happens is because all your blood is going through your heart valve, it starts to spread to all parts of your body. The only time normally it doesn't go to your heart is if you have a predisposition or a weakness in your body. And if you go back, remember I told you that I had all those spontaneous pneumothoraxes, which were the lung collapses. They never had an answer for why those happened. Well, because I had a predisposition, it did not go to my heart. It went to my lungs,
Yep.
and they were able to heal me
So
without
like
having.
your past shit like saved your life pretty much. That's fucking
Yes.
crazy. Wow.
But what's really creepy is the fact that, my mom went into the hospital when I kept having, because I wasn't doing normally, a lung collapse it happens in a car wreck. It happens in football. It happens in sports. It will happen when your chest or your back has a compression to where your rib cage and your bones go in, and then the lung closes up and doesn't expand. Right. Well, that never happened to me. I was reaching for like a DVD on an entertainment thing whenever the first time it happened, and it felt like my shoulder. It felt like I had lifted up my arm, and there was like a snap, like a rubber band. And everybody in the house like looked at me. It was just a bunch of friends, and they were like, "What was that?" And I thought that I popped something in my shoulder.
I thought you did when you hit a bone.
That was the second and third time. But the original time, there was no explanation. So my mom was like, "Why did this happen?" They're telling her spontaneous. There was no reason. Basically, they give her the excuse he's tall and skinny. And she was like, "Do you realize his dad was tall and skinny and I was with him for 40 years and he never had his lung collapse?" Like, I don't buy that, basically. So then when you fast forward to the endocarditis, and it's the thing that saved my life, it's kind of like, well, that could have been the reason, It's like,
While you were in the hospital, while he was in the hospital, they put him on the MAT program.
yeah,
And that's literally what saved my life. Because when we got back together, I went to the hospital to see. Well, before we got back together, I went to the hospital to see him, and he literally looked like death. He looked like he was dying, and he basically was. And I just prayed to God, please save him because he's the father of my child. But that night, I spent the night with him, and the next day, I was in the clinic.
yeah, like she had come to me to bring Ariana, is what happened. And then after she brought Ariana to me, a couple days later, she comes again. But this time she didn't have Ariana with her. And we start to talk about what I'm gonna do when I got out. Now, I was in the MAT program. They had put me in the clinic without me leaving the hospital. They had called the clinic. They was like, "We're gonna start him on methadone here. And if he chooses to save his own life when he gets out, he'll be there the day that he gets out." So I'm in the hospital. I get discharged. I start to stay with a friend that was in the hospital with the same thing. I was going to go move in with her grandmother and restart my life. Keisha calls me and she's like, "I need your help." Right now, remember, I made her mom that promise that I would always help her. So when she showed up, she could not hit herself and she didn't want to ask me to inject her with the heroin. That's what hitting herself means. And I'm like, "Dude, look, I can get past my addiction to help you. I don't want you to tear your arms to pieces." So after a couple days of this, she calls me and I come down to the car and she was like, "Will you come home with me? Will you come back to my house?" She had plans to move out of that house and she was going to move in with somebody that she didn't even have any connection with.
Nope.
She was doing it to try and save herself. She didn't even know where to go. Nobody knew about her addiction. Nobody knew that she was as bad off. The only person who knew was me. And this is after our whole lives. This is after raising Ariana.
2020.
This is in 2020. So when I went down there, I didn't go back up to that hospital room. I left everything there. I didn't tell anybody what I was doing. We moved to Danville and we stayed clean. I got her into the methadone clinic. I slowed her down on the heroin. Like, I was like, "Look, if you're going to use, I'm going to use. And then you'll have to put my life on your hands because I just got out of this hospital with endocarditis." We slowed down off everything. I weaned her down. We both got in the clinic and 5 years went on. And in 2025, we were moving out of our house and getting ready to move in somewhere else. And the guy had basically promised me, like, look, he knew about my record. And I was so nervous about my record because we didn't want to give up this house, not have a home. So I lined everything up to where we had a place to stay. We were waiting on the guy to get back to us. The guy sends me an email, tells me that he couldn't help me after he promised he could. He took my down payment, all that. He returned the payment to me and hit me with an email that basically said, we're sorry, we can't give you a house. So then we had lost our home. We were staying with a friend, and
Not a good friend.
he had cocaine.
Yeah.
And we both thought we were safe because we had been clean for 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, we felt like we had beat it. We felt like we had all the answers. Everything was good. She had fallen back into a depression, wasn't on the right meds. And we started doing cocaine. And couple months after the cocaine use started, I had went to jail for something for it was just a random warrant for truancy, and it kept me in there. And while I was in there, Keisha decided to go to treatment, and she went into rehab for 30 days.
No, I was there for 50 days, 56 days.
50 days. The program that particular program ended up not really being for her. She went into Simple Solutions, and while she was there, I saw the difference that she had made. And I saw a person. I had always told Keisha how wonderful she was, how beautiful her soul was. She always knew she was a beautiful girl on the outside. Anybody can see that looking at her. I hate to say that, but it's true. Not trying to blow her head up, but she could have been so beautiful on the inside, and she didn't see it. She didn't believe it. She had spent so much time being abused by Jimmy, so much time being depressed, that she just didn't have any faith in herself. And when I saw her come out of that sober living, waiting on another program, it was like everything I had ever told her, I was staring at. You see what I'm saying? So I asked her, I said, what do you think about me doing it? And she knew where I was going. I was going to do it for her. I was going to do it because I loved her and I wanted to be beside her. And she was like, look, that's not going to work. Like, if you do this for those reasons, we're just going to end up in the same place. Like, and it's just going to be that way. So it took, she went to change her, started calling places to get in as a couple. They didn't accept her insurance. So they basically told her, look, it's going to take 30 days to change this insurance. During this 30-day period, you guys are either going to make it or break it. You guys are either going to reconnect and decide you're going to do this and make it. This is God, I feel like saying this to us.
Yes.
You guys are either going to reconnect and realize you can make it, or it's time for y'all to go your separate ways. And both of us hadn't been apart from each other in 6 years,
No.
and never had been apart since we were 11,
No.
all the way until now. So, you got to figure, if we're both 35 and we met at 11, we hadn't known each other for 11 years, and we have known each other for 23, 24. So we've known each other longer than we haven't. And when they accepted us into here, they had told us, hey, you guys can come on the first. And when Keisha called me, she knows that I can talk. When it comes down to talking, I'm decent. And she said, I want you to call them and see if you can get us in today. And so I called the woman, and I laid out our whole case, and I laid out everything, and I was like, look, we will make it 4 more days, but if we can come today, both of us will be in a better place for our sobriety. And we came here on October 27th, and every single day has been great.
It just keeps getting better.
Every day. Like, it's been, I've known her for 24 years, and I've never seen her look the way she does now. I never got excited every day to see her come in from work. Of course, I missed her. I loved her, but like I'm better when she's around. And I've never been able to say that my whole life. We could have said we loved each other, but we weren't better as people. We weren't,
No.
and I'll watch her like when I'm speaking to the group or when I'm talking to my counselor. And I know the changes that I've made for me, but seeing her acknowledge it and seeing her tell me how proud she is of me, she doesn't understand that, like, I watched her. You know what I mean? Like, she was always the one that followed my lead. And I told her, like, 3 months ago, I said, it's time for you to lead. I said, it's time for you to grab the reins. And I said, I will follow you. I will have your back. So, fast forward now, we're here. She basically come to me and was like, I don't want to lead. I want us to be beside each other. She was like, I'll still put out all my ideas. I will still try to guide us, but I want to walk with you. I don't want you in front of me. I don't want to be in front of you, but let's just go beside each other. And right before we got on this, no lie, this isn't just made up for the story. We just applied for our first apartment back together.
Literally, the house that we had in Danville was put in my lap by a roommate that I had when I was working down there. And that was just handed over to me. This is literally our first apartment together that we're applying for the right way. So we just want prayers that it all goes good, which I think it will. But it's meant to be. It's like God has literally placed everything in front of me. Ronnie said, I want you to lead. Everything, the treatment facility got put in front of me. This home has gotten put in front of me. Like just everything that's happened to us is put in front of me for me to lead the way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so unreal and it's so crazy, but we're grateful. We're blessed to be here. We love you, Leanna. We've met some great friends in our sober community. Like I never thought that I would be so happy, and I'm so proud of the growth and stuff that this man has made. He's a different person, and I fell in love all over again. Like it's like new.
Same here.
So
you guys are so amazing. And this is a really inspirational story. Like you guys have been like, it's kind of like I said yesterday that Rachel from the TikTok groups, like I feel like she's supposed to be in my life. And I don't know why yet. Like the reason hasn't been made clear, but like we grew up, like my uncle lived next door to her aunt, so we played together as small kids. And then we turned into adults. We never hung out as adults. We landed in the same jail cell together, dope sick. And then she got her life together, and I still was a while before I got mine together. But now, when I started my podcast, she was the first one in my podcast. She's been super supportive. She comes to my life. Like, she's supposed to be in my life, and I don't know why yet. But, like, so that's kind of how I feel about you guys, obviously in a whole different sense, a whole different capacity. But, like, you guys were clearly meant to be together. Like, that's fucking obvious,
And what's cool though, sorry, go ahead, my bad.
No, it's just amazing to see, and that you guys had to finally start like get out of your own way. You know what I mean? Like, and fucking let God handle things. Like,
and what's really cool, Leanna, is okay, Keisha could do a million things the right way. She still has this part of her which she works on. She's working on it. Nobody can make you get over something like, and I don't try to force it. I just try and point out to her the things that are happening in her life. And like I said, she could do 100 things right, and she would still question the next thing that came in. And the other day, she was her nerves were tore up, and the thing that she just had pointed out to you about, she repeated what I said to her, and I'm so glad that she heard me the other day, because everything that has been placed in our life now has been placed in front of Keisha. It hasn't been me trying to say, here, Keisha, we need to do this. Babe, here, babe, I found this and I think we need to do it. These are, including the apartment, these are all things that Keisha has came to me and said, babe, look, this has been placed in my lap. What do you think? And my thing is to her, what does your heart say? Because your heart has got us this far, right? Because I stopped listening to myself. One of the biggest problems I had was me. I couldn't get out of my own way. I thought I knew everything. So instead of letting my research, because anybody can research a topic, think they know what they're talking about, and then lead. But it takes actual intervention, divine intervention, to say this was meant to be. So instead of trying to force something, like since we came here, there wasn't one day that looked at her and I said, I think we're ready to move out. I think we need to get our own place. Our plan was to wait until the taxes, do it sometime in March or April. Then somebody landed in her lap that was like, listen, this is a place that I think you guys should be. I think it's meant to be. What do you think? And then Keisha brought it to me. So what I'm trying to get through to her is, for whatever reason, just like God guided me to her in 2019 to help get her in this clinic, God flipped it. And now he has brought her to me to put me in the place I need to be in.
Yes.
But it had stopped being like before. It was he guided me to help her. And then then it was guiding her to help me. Now he is putting things in front of us to help us.
Yep.
And it's not something I'm making up. Like I used to be a devout atheist. You could not tell me that there was somebody up here until I had divine intervention in my own life. And now that all these things have been placed in front of us, all I'm doing is grabbing on and putting in all of my effort. That's all I can do. But everything has come on its own. And that's why I'm a little bit better at the not worrying than she is, but the reason is because I've watched it be placed in front of us. So I have all the faith in the world.
I love that. You guys are so awesome and such a real inspiration. And I love that, like, you guys like put it out that there is hope. Like, even if, you guys have been through this shit together, and hurt each other, I'm sure, you know what I mean, along the way, but on both sides and all the stuff. And here you are together now today, happy and moving forward. And that's fucking awesome, guys. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story with me. I know it was kind of last minute and we didn't plan this, but I'm really glad we got to do it. I'm loving.
Yeah.
Lately, the past few weeks, I've been interviewing people from the TikTok platform that are coming over to the podcast. And I'm kind of really getting to know you guys on a lot better level, deeper. And it's really awesome. Like having friends and a community and people around me that care about me is very, very new for me. So like, and for me to sit here and listen to your guys' story and care, like not only because obviously this is a podcast that I'm trying to like, make go somewhere, but that's not it. Like I care because I want to know about you guys, and that's very different for me. So I appreciate you guys coming over here and sitting down, taking the time out of your Sunday and sharing your story with us. So
yeah,
thank you, Leanna. We appreciate it, and we will be in the live tonight at 7. We will try our best to be there. Okay.
All right. So anybody watching on TikTok, give me about 10 minutes, about 3:45, and we'll start the reading. I have a really special treat for you. Josh wrote us a reading last night that's titled Recovery Simply Means Progress. And it's a really good one. He wrote it just for us to read today. So anyone catch that, please do. And if not, I'll see you guys later. All right. Love you guys.
All right,
Thank you so much.
Be good.
I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my been ready. Used to hold myself back, my self-esteem damn bad. I gotta keep on chugging, ran through everything.